Hello, I wanted to make sure to record this just because it would be important now at this time where we live in times of unpredictable, often unknown to what's going to happen in the future, although it can be quite predictable into some sense. So I'm going to give you first a story about 2016 and then connect it to 2020. What this audio video is about is my predictions heading into 2021 and the other years ahead. Just to give you a general sense of what I see coming. Now, of course, there's a lot of different things going on at once, because if you follow any of it with the media and so forth, it would just be overwhelming. So I don't involve myself with that too much, and I encourage individuals don't either themselves, because it's sort of all just very fearful, and I would consider unnatural for the human state to be exposed to so much information in such a way that it is done today. But I know we adapt to that information, and that's okay. But it could still be very overwhelming for most individuals, especially younger individuals. Again, I'm sure that they adapt, but there's a reason why anxiety is growing, depression is growing, social problems are growing, and a lot of mental impairments. And so, regardless of all the health and all the bad things, I'm just going to tell you like it is. So in 2016, I supported Trump, and I didn't know about statism at the time. I didn't know about Trump's donors, such as Sheldon Adelson. If you support Trump and you're watching this, you're listening to this, well, I'm not bashing him. I'm not saying that Biden is better in any way. I would say that both are immoral by their very position of power, because under natural law, they have no right to rule over any human being. It is innately immoral, and it's essentially legitimizing slavery, to which, because they don't have that right to rule over you, and they're claiming to rule over your life and property, and we feel like we have to go along with it by moral obligation to obey these laws that are not natural. You can go into the many lists, but of course those are my other videos. So to just get to the point, I don't support any politician, and I learned that rather fast after 2016. 2016 was when I was kind of new to politics, but beforehand I was, along with this idea of nature is the answer. So just politics sort of brought a new energy into the scene, like what is going on here. I liked the fact that Trump was getting new ideas out into the public scene that weren't thought of before. So regardless of what anyone thinks of the person, he has made an impact in this life by simply doing that and by simply being more human. But I'm going to say that also comes at a cost, and that's what I'm going to describe about with my prediction here. So it's sort of prediction, but also sort of something I can say I know for sure in many different aspects. But let's just say in 2016, nobody believed me when I said Trump was going to win toward the end, but I supported him from the very beginning, and this is evident. There's photos of me in Trump shirts. I have the Trump water bottle. I was at his rallies. People thought I should run for president when I was at his rallies because of how I dressed. I had American glasses and all this fancy stuff, but regardless, basically it was a nice energy for new people into the scene, people my age, and it was something that excited me to get into it. Yeah, I know politics is exciting, fun, what is this? But that's what Trump did, and I don't think I got the same energy necessarily with 2020. But of course, I wouldn't play into those political sports games anyways, seeing how it's just a dog and pony show at the end of the day. And really looking back at the other years, and I didn't know much in 2016, to be honest, and that's okay. I did know about a lot of things. I just did not really connect the dots to my own philosophy, which was a mistake. But that's likely because I was programmed my whole life into statism, and that was hard to overcome until individuals like High Impact Flicks introduced me otherwise, and then I connected it to my own philosophy, and then understood Mark Passio and many others, including World Alternative Media, including Larkin Rose, and The list goes on. There's many individuals who are principled anarchists, real anarchists, but individuals that simply, just want to live life free from individuals who don't have the right to rule over one another, human beings. So now that I can get on to the point, so 2016, I had that whole shebang. And then after 2016, I realized, Trump had the Israeli lobbies. Israel was a big supporter. I never knew what Zionism was about. I always thought it was some sort of anti-Semitic thing because that's what people automatically equate to it. But now I don't jump to such assumptions. That is very dangerous. Of course, that's what happened because I was just new to all these isms and all these political words that were just being used at the time. I considered myself a populist. I didn't consider myself Republican or anything of the sort. In 2016, I even wrote for a populist news website to which I was done with a friend of mine from Georgia. His name was Niski. He has a channel on YouTube. It had millions and millions of views, talking about how everything the media pretty much said about Trump was false. And so it gave me a lot of hope into that. But not only that, I've been following independent media before 2016, and they supported Trump so much. And I should have questioned that a little bit more because independent media never supported a candidate before like that. They never played into the two-party system, so why would they do so then? So there was sort of a disconnection there to which I realize now, and they still are falling to that game, which I am not too excited to see. For websites talking about, freedom and liberty and so forth, and even having the ideas of natural law and natural medicine at hand, they have a disconnect between the natural world and understanding that nobody has the right to rule. And by putting someone in power, that doesn't fix the problem. What fixes the problem is mass awareness and education about statism. And that's what Nature is the Answer, my movement, seeks to do, which no other movement on this earth has ever. And it's as simple as having a flag, and that's why I'm trying to unify independent media around this, symbol in this flag. So essentially, just you need something as a unifying factor to bring people together around to say, hey, we want the simple things such as freedom, truth, love, and family. At the end of the day, simple things, right? The things we can all get behind no matter what, and just go forward with morality, right? Which is the heart of natural law. What is moral and what is immoral, right there tells you about statism. That's why I said immediately it's immoral. So regardless of that, that's what happened, in 2017 or so, and got involved with a lot of health stuff. So I was just busy with that most of the time. I didn't really look into, I didn't have the introspection time to really think about nature and my philosophies and reflecting it on politics. But when you do that, you realize politics is not really a natural subject. It's based in the artifices of man, and creating man's law, man's medicine is basically the same deal. Trying to be God in a sense, ruling over other human beings. Now, what I am predicting is for Trump to win again. Nobody believed me in 2016, and of course nobody's really sure for me on 2020 either, but all you have to do is look at the polls, look at the pie charts. It's pretty simple. It seems like it's rigged every time. All you got to do is look at the rallies, the size of the rallies. You can just look around, make some observations, and you'll see that perhaps the individuals that go toward the left are, of course, the individuals who just watch TV or are just robotic workers, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you're somebody like that and still just on your truth journey, that's okay. I have care for all human beings, but it's sort of stereotypical. Those who are on the right are very pro-Israel. Of course, they have a certain look sometimes, and as everybody, and they tend to be more traditional, sometimes called alt-right and all these other things. I'm aware of all that. It goes so many different ways. I like Nick Fuentes and his view on much of right politics. He calls himself a paleoconservative. I know he doesn't talk much about natural law and so forth. I'd be willing to open up that conversation in the future with him. But essentially, I'm predicting that Trump will win again here for 2021 and 2020. And I'm going to move away here from the window. And one of the reasons also beside the point that I believe his viewer base is extremely strong, and you're never going to see that passion anywhere else with people, because they sort of like this in a way. And people need to understand this. Sort of this religion of Trump is causing people to obey this individual, and anything he does is right. And now even if individuals say, well, I don't just follow him because, it's everything he does is right, they're still following him, and they're still promoting him. Now look, I support him as a human being, just as anybody, and he's definitely more human than other people by the way he expresses himself. But think about it. What do they want more than ever? The elites at the very top of the pyramid. I know I might get some hate from this, but this is simply the truth if you understand how the power system and the pyramid system works. They feed off of individuals playing their game. And when people have this high investment into a candidate, they love that. And they're forming the perfect division as they have in 2016, but an even more perfect division having Trump in office even longer. And not to mention, who's going to be administering the vaccine? And if the vaccine leaks the live virus and has many other problems with it, who's going to be the one to blame? See, Trump will be the perfect individual to say, oh, well, there's still more coronavirus cases, and so they'll blame him. This is not to say to defend Trump in any way. It's to say that they're going to paint an image like that, and they may even go as far as to assassinate somebody just to put a theater show on display and cause more division. Just think about what's going to cause division the most. It's about framing the narrative in such a way that vaccines are distributed under Trump, and that Israel supports Trump the most too. And they're both pro-Israeli candidates. There's a lot in common actually between the right and left party. I'll have all that on the screen for you there so you can see. But again, all of this really gets solved when we understand statism. And just playing into politics is literally statism. And so when we are talking about these candidates and, who's going to do better or whatever, look what's happening more than ever. People are playing statism because they actually believe someone's a genuine person. They look genuine, they sound genuine, it's perfect. So while the agendas are still being done, the mask mandates and now soon the vaccine mandates perhaps in certain areas and so forth, lockdowns, what you're going to see is, these agendas continuing and a person that looks genuine delivering them. So it's perfect dependence of the human species for, their king, their monarchy, which essentially democracy comes down to, and people just obeying. And so they sort of want that structure in place, and that's why I would see Trump as a really good person for their agenda. Okay, just simply that. Now one may say, oh, well, it's going to get worse under Biden and so forth. What if that's all just for theater? Nobody really supports him, and okay, you have him. It's going to get worse either way, right? People would revolt either way. There was always going to be people going crazy, I'm sure, and there's always going to be many staged events. You're going to see, violence and so forth. I think a lot of individuals know that, which is why I don't even have to mention it, sadly. But it's not that one person is better than another. It's that they're both playing the same game at the end of the day. There's nothing more to it than the fact that, okay, Trump says he's not a politician, then what is he doing? He's playing the exact same game every politician plays. What if it's the very nature of that position that is wrong? Okay, not so much even the person who is in that position, but the position itself. Do you ever question that? Do you ever question the laws itself? Do you ever question the nature of government itself? Because such would tell you that it's immoral and that it has no place of existence in this world. Okay, so now another thing too is we see a collapse of the economy coming. Wouldn't it be perfect if, toward the end of, 2024, the end of his term, all of a sudden the collapse happens and, they blame that on Trump at the same time as coronavirus deaths and so forth. and they have to just carry everything on, and more dependence is put on the government, and now somebody has to replace Trump, and now that's going to cause so much uproar. So just think about what would happen here between 2020 and 2025. You can have a collapse, you can have major dependence on government, and no matter what I see, I'm seeing major dependence on government unless people wake up to what statism is in its very nature. It's the only way you solve this problem in its entirety, because all this is just a repeat of history, and through governments in time, this is the way it's always been. Okay, democracy is special because it's got a voting system to make you feel like you're more a part of it. And Trump is perfect for democracy because he makes you feel like you're more a part of it. America first and make America great again. Well, what about Israel? What about the billions of weapons he gave to Saudi Arabia? What about the strikes on Syria and stuff that he proclaimed to not do in early years? Why is it that there's so many contradictive things, right? You say, oh, well, he's still genuine. I still think he's a good person or whatever. And Q is telling me this and Q is telling me that. What about nature? Again, there's this missing gap between you and your connection to the universe itself. You're connecting yourself with external entities, such as the news, such as politicians, and you're not thinking for yourself, and you're not receiving from nature. So I woke up to this stuff rather fast because I was able to just understand what's all around me. Yeah, all around me. That's it. And it's not something that I have to be in belief and dependence to understand. So if we truly want to change this world, we have to get together around understanding morality and natural law. It's the only way things truly change. Otherwise, democide is inevitable. Harm is inevitable because immorality constitutes harm being done to other sentient beings. So if it's immoral for government to even exist and a politician to even be in such position and call themselves a president over other people and so forth, you're asking for harm no matter what. And therefore people are dying no matter what. So am I going to support this? No. Is this a prediction that actually is the only one of all this, the ones I mentioned in this video, that is actually true? Yes. And that's the sad part. And so if you truly want to fix all these problems, from riots to, division, which is divide and conquer, to problem react solution, which is false flags and so forth, then you understand the root cause of the problem, which is statism. And the same thing goes with racial tension here. If you understand the root cause to that problem, it's morality. Worldwide universal truths. I made a video talking about this in depth, about morality and universal understandings. Instead of looking at symptoms or pinpointing certain things, we're getting right to the point, right to the roots. And so symbolic for nature is the answer, but it is. And I think you can say the same whether you are religious or not or whatnot. Most people can agree that we have this connection to it and we can't get away from it. And it's for the very reason that we are all beings of nature. We're not beings of politics, of government. What is such system? The very nature of the word government, govano mentis, means mind control. Right? Have you ever looked into these ideas? Ever? Then you would question the world around you, and that my predictions, whether or not they're true or not, doesn't even matter at the end of the day. Right? People want to hear my predictions. Ooh, what's true, what's not? What about what's true to nature innately? We don't need to hear predictions or what this person thinks, so it has to rule over other people, and this opinion has to be imposed on other people. Since when was that a good idea? Always to be backed by violence and therefore complied with fear? Fear gets us nowhere. Ego gets us nowhere. The very systems that be are in their nature egoic. So what we need to do is we need to bring people together around understanding, education. Okay, mass education for the world. Its quotes have said time and time again, education is what's truly going to preserve our liberty and what's going to create freedom. For it's even the law of freedom, as Mark Passio teaches, that as freedom increases, morality increases, and as morality increases, freedom increases. So they're directly proportional. As morality declines, freedom declines. So we must bring the society to a more moral society by understanding what objective morality is, and that it's not just created from our own minds. It's not subjective, it's objective in nature. And that's why it's occult knowledge. They want to keep it away from you. So thank you for listening. This is Corey Engerlat. Nature is the answer. Be of the knowing, the KNOWING, and the knowing and the no party system, right? Because you understand the truthful principles to the universe, and you want to unite the whole world, not just a select country, around truth. So that's why nature is the answer, is this movement to do it. And, stop believing in others and lead yourself. Okay, learn to lead yourself. It's something we all had to learn. I learned, and so you can learn too. Thank you for watching this video. Feel free to subscribe, like, and do whatever you wish. It's up to you. You are free in this life, and if you want to know how to change the world truly, please, I encourage you to check out my website, Nida.one. It's here for all of us, actually. It's not my website. It is my website, but it isn't. It's here for us all. We're all messengers. We're all fellow human beings. Let's change the world truly, and we can do it with Nida.one. Nature's the answer.